Welcome, everyone. In today's explainer, we're going to dive into a topic that completely flips the script on how we view the future of work. Whenever we hear about automation or artificial intelligence, the headline is almost always about job loss. But today, we're going to look at the exact opposite. By breaking down Chapter 20, New Career Paths, we're going to explore how the new automation mindset is actually creating incredibly high-value job opportunities and drastically reshaping career trajectories for the better. All right, let's just dive right into this.
I want you to think about a question for a second. When you imagine the person leading the automation revolution at your organization, who do you see? A lot of us still separate workers into these totally dated mental models, right? We imagine a traditional IT expert, maybe someone with a fancy computer science degree, hiding behind complex code and command line tools. We just assume this revolution has to be driven exclusively from the top down by specialized technicians. But what if I told you that the technical gap between IT and the rest of the business is shrinking incredibly fast? The person leading your automation revolution might actually not be who you expect at all.
Section 1. The Tale of the Automation Catalyst. To really wrap our heads around this shift, let's look at a real-world micro-example that proves this new automation mindset is accessible to absolutely anyone. Get a load of this timeline. This is the true story of Jia-Ying Li. For 6 whole years, she worked stocking supermarket shelves. But she decided it was time for a change and eventually landed an entry-level HR admin position at a startup called Workato, which at the time had less than 100 employees. Well, while she was there, Jia-Ying just started tinkering with the company's low-code automation platform in her free time. She completely taught herself how to use it and started coming up with these brilliant ideas to automate the mundane HR processes she was responsible for, stuff like background checks, offer letters, and new hire provisioning. She didn't wait around for permission, and she definitely didn't have a computer science degree. She just took the initiative. Fast forward just 4 years, she had earned 4 promotions, multiplied her salary, and became a top automation expert in her entire organization as an HR ops leader. And the impact of her taking that initiative was absolutely massive. As Workato scaled up to nearly 1,000 employees, the overwhelming majority of them were onboarded using the automated workflows that Jia-Ying built herself. New hires were literally commenting on how their onboarding experience was so different from any other company they'd ever worked for. One employee put it perfectly, saying, "It just worked. I was able to get started on day 1. Think about that. Jia-Ying went from stocking shelves to becoming a literal catalyst for transformation. She didn't worry about stepping on toes or lacking the right technical background. She just stepped up and applied her creativity to solve a problem.
Moving right along to Section 2, the rise of the Big Ops era. Jia-Ying's story is super inspiring, but the crazy thing is, it's not an isolated incident. Let's zoom out a bit and explore the industry-wide macro trend that actually made her incredible career transformation possible.
More and more business leaders are waking up to the massive opportunities that low-code automation creates. David Peterson recently wrote about why no-code operations is going to be the next big job in tech, and his main takeaway is just so powerful. He points out that roles focused on low-code and no-code tech are popping up in thousands of companies, and a ton of them have the word operations right in their titles. This is a brand new chance to position your career for an era where you literally do not need to be a software engineer to build software solutions.
Let's explore what we call the Big Ops ecosystem. We're seeing operations roles just explode out of the shadows and turn into these critical functions across the entire company. You've got your traditional tech ops like DevOps, sure, but look at what happens as we move over toward business ops. You've got marketing ops, sales ops, people ops, security ops, and right there at the center of the whole thing is orchestration. Big Ops isn't just some trendy job category, it's a massive indicator of how business itself is transforming. The ability to weave people, processes, and technology together is quickly becoming a foundational requirement for nearly every business. It makes these operational roles incredibly valuable.
So, what exactly are these Big Ops professionals doing on a day-to-day basis with their low-code tools? Honestly, they're applying their creativity without being held back by crazy technology barriers. In HR Ops, they're automating the entire employee lifecycle from hire to retire, exactly like Jia-Ying did. In Sales Ops, managers are automating complex lead routing and giving their teams just-in-time sales call prep. Over in Security Ops, they're automating security alert management and running these automated checks to make sure the company's security posture is always up to date. In every single one of these cases, the operators are already experts in their specific fields. Giving them the power to automate company-wide processes, it just puts their success on overdrive.
So the crucial takeaway here is that we are witnessing the birth of a totally new breed of professional. We call them the Big Ops Catalyst.
Now, this isn't someone who just manages one single software app. No, this is a functional expert who uses low-code orchestration as a sort of central brain to weave together the entire ecosystem of people, processes, and data. They are potential innovators who, when you hand them the right technology, completely alter the trajectory of their companies.
Section 3. The strategic evolution of IT. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. If business users are out there doing all this building and automating on their own, what happens to the IT department? Do they just pack up and fade away? Absolutely not. Let's shift gears and look at the vital support system required for these big ops catalysts to actually thrive.
We really have to contrast the outdated view of IT with this new reality. Old IT, it operated in a fixed mindset. It was this highly centralized model built entirely around a service queue. They were a service provider, which often meant acting as a bottleneck where your request just waited in line until a technical expert finally had the time to automate the process for you. But new IT, it operates with a scale mindset. Their profile is actually elevated. They become a strategic guide, kind of like a player coach. Instead of being this clogged-up automation factory, central IT becomes an enabler. They provide the guardrails, the oversight, and the tools so the rest of the business can build safely.
I know, when IT leaders first hear about democratizing automation and handing it over to the business side, a lot of them completely shudder. They immediately picture the enterprise IT version of a Mad Max film, just total anarchy, where people are breaking systems and creating these massive security risks left and right. But as Steve Jobs once said, authority should be vested in the people doing the work to improve their own processes. Empowering non-technical business teams is not anarchy if you do it correctly. In fact, if your only alternative is to hoard all the power in IT, your automation revolution is basically doomed from the start. There are simply way too many processes for IT to handle all by themselves.
So to safely turn the workforce into an army of citizen developers, IT really has to step into a much more strategic leadership role. First off, they need to provide intuitive, low-code platforms and generative AI tools that essentially eliminate those old coding barriers. Second, they absolutely must establish, communicate, and enforce strict security guardrails so the business can innovate safely without racking up a ton of technical debt. And third, they have to mentor and consult. This is actually often done through what are called fusion teams, where technical experts from IT join forces with functional experts from the business side, all working toward a shared goal. It builds a ton of trust and gets everyone speaking the same language.
Section 4. Becoming the driver of the future. All right, we've seen how the technology works, we've talked about how the organizational structure has to adapt, but what does all of this actually mean for you? Let's bring this explainer to its final action-oriented conclusion.
Think about all the automation projects sitting inside a company. That tiny 1% slice, that represents the traditional IT-led automations that manage to get done in that centralized queue. But that massive 99% chunk, that is the giant iceberg of untapped opportunity. These are the spontaneous, spur-of-the-moment strokes of genius popping up across the company every single day that currently just go completely untried because people lack the tools or the permission to build them. That 99% is only going to see the light of day if we empower our employees with this new automation mindset.
And that perfectly sums up our core takeaway for today. Change absolutely needs a catalyst. Whether you are in HR, marketing, sales, or IT, mastering this mindset is the key to competing in this next massive era of digital transformation. Over the next decade, the professionals who challenge the status quo, who step up, and who figure out how to weave together technology and processes, they are going to be the most valuable resources in the entire company, hands down.
Listen, your company's next unicorn employee might literally be stocking supermarket shelves right now, just waiting for the right opportunity. Or perhaps you are that unicorn employee, looking to forge a brand new career path in the big ops ecosystem. The barrier to entry has truly never been lower, and the potential for you to make a massive impact has never been higher. So I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. Your next automation catalyst is out there right now. Is it you?